No, your ears are not deceiving you. This is a second episode this week from BRC and Friends because we have a couple of minisodes. Another summer check-in, this time with Micky, ScotBey Jones, and Amy Kim Kyremes Parks. As usual, I'll give them a few prompts and we'll just riff a bit. In this episode, we take on the Supreme Court. We will talk a little bit about Serena Williams, the Little Mermaid, kerfuffle, and letting go with our kids. You're going to hear a little bit about what would make Micky cut you. You're going to find out ways that Amy Kim, why she breaks down into tears at Whole Foods, and I introduce both of them to F1. Again, thanks for being here. Grab a beverage, pull up a chair, and welcome to BRC and Friends, our Summer Check-in Minisode. My name is Bruce Reyes-Chow, and this is BRC and Friends. Each episode, my co-hosts and I chat with activists, artists, academics, and adventurers to discuss politics, faith, pop culture, technology, and as you will discover, pretty much everything that pops into our heads. This is basically an excuse for us to hang out with friends and colleagues and riff about things that matter. Welcome to BRC and Friends. All right, it's good to be back. It's been a long time, but BRC and Friends has returned with a ton of shows in the pipeline for Filipino American History Month as well as beyond. But we're doing another check-in minisode with Amy, Kim, and Micky. And so let's just jump off into this right now. First, introduce yourselves, give your pronouns again for folks who are just getting to know us, and then one thing you want to share about your summer, your kind of what I did on summer vacation story. And I'll invite Amy Kim to go first.
Thank you. It's so good to be back. Amy Kim Kyremes Parks, preferred pronouns she, her, aya. And this summer, I had the privilege and painful process of taking our youngest to college across the country. So it was really wonderful to help him get ready and think about all those things, and then leaving your child who is super emotionally intelligent and has all the words to back it up to say things like, I'm just really thankful I can reflect all you've done for me in the world. I mean, rip my heart out, put me on a plane, and then I'm just bawling. So it was both wonderful and horrible. So I call it the holy and horrible moment of growth for us.
You're such a nice mom.
Yes. Actually, it was so.
It's just that's not how I drop.
What did you give your kid? You just give it $1 and like, all right, call me, proof of life.
No, there was a time, there was a moment where I was like, why can't you be like the other crappy kids and be like, bye, can you leave, bye? But nope, he's a wonderful one.
That was actually going to be one of my prompts later. We'll get back to that.
Okay,
it's
great.
going to be about letting go of our kids. Good, yeah.
Over.
All right, Micky, what about you?
I mean, my kids are great, and I want them to. I want the birdies to fly the little nest. I need you to go do whatever you're going to do over there. So I don't want to stay up till midnight because you're out with your friends. Yep. Just go, yeah. Be a grown up. Okay. Micky ScotBey Jones here, she, her, pronouns, and Lordy, what did I do over the summer? Well, my summer story is about Amy Kim. Amy Kim and I got to meet in person.
It was
and it was glorious. It was like long lost friends being reunited who then just got into all the naughtiness possible. We just so I almost attacked Amy Kim's husband.
It was so great. It was
just so everybody knows.
It was an exercise in the perfect like siblinghood of people of color and what they do for each other in white spaces. Do you want to start, Micky?
I just I have like white guy radar. So I'm like, there's just, we had been hanging out and then there's this white guy beside Amy Kim sitting real close. I don't know him. She has talked about a husband, but I don't know who this man is sitting beside her. And he just looks like every other white bearded guy at Wild Goose Festival. And I didn't know if he was safe Was he hitting on her? Was he trying to have a conversation about, I wish there were more people of color here. Thank you so much for being here. Like, was he being,
Right.
a white liberal, or like, what was he trying to do?
So
And
Mickey is looking at me from the row in front of me, like trying to get me to look at my phone, like giving me these eyes, like, look at your phone, look at your phone. And my phone says, do you know that white guy sitting next to you? And I laughed so hard. Go ahead.
With both Amy, Kim, and I married to white people, there is a probably first inclination to text back, I have no idea who this person is. And then
that would have been hilarious.
But that's probably not safe.
I mean, yeah, because
but the consequences could be bad.
Because she would have gotten up. She would have literally gotten up and been like, "Excuse me, I want to sit next to her." Like she would have totally gotten in the middle of it. I laughed for a while. Then I show the text to my spouse, and I say, and I said, "Yeah, it's my husband." And she was like, "Okay, good," because he was getting a little too close. It was amazing and so endearing.
I was feeling very protective.
That
right
is
away.
well,
like,
yeah. And he must have thought it was hysterical too, knowing just. I mean,
Totally. Because most of the time
he was like, "Good. I'm glad somebody's watching out."
I'm just happy to be invited, and if some other white dude like rolls up on my wife, I'm really glad Mickey is going to be like, "Here we are."
I'm like literally trained in nonviolence from James Lawson, but I am ready to roll. You hear me? I was ready to come to blows.
Yep, at the Wild Goose Festival.
Peace and love and harmony on all that shit. No, let's go.
I will cut you. I will cut you.
Yeah, I will cut you for my friend. So, so that was my making a great first impression on Amy Kim's husband. And then we just sat around in sacred circle, drinking communion and telling very inappropriate stories several nights in a row. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked that there were inappropriate stories being shared. Shocked, I tell you. Not at all. All right, well, thank you. So Bruce Reyes-Chow, my summer, as many of you know, I was kind of trying to figure out what's next for me, and I gratefully blessed able to take a month and spend it in Hawaii. And so with all the complications about mainlanders going to Hawaii these days, but enjoyed it and had a lovely time. That's where, speaking of white people hanging out with our families, so that's where me and a bunch of my family look like we're locals right away. And then the couple of white people that are in our families are always clearly not. And so there's always a temptation to be like, I don't know who this white person is with us. We need to like somebody take care of this. But we don't, because that would be mean. So I had a great time this summer. So, all right, let's just jump right in. I got a few things, a few ranties, or not even ranty things, but summer things going on. So your first phrase is this: Supreme Court. Go.
Dear God.
Exactly.
I just am looking at Amy Kim's face, and it's just like,
I have no more words for them. I have no more words for them.
It's just so much terrible.
Right. So much terrible. Well, and also what it feels like right now is the same old thing that happens, particularly with Black women in these spaces. And I think it also happens with other people of color, but this like, we're going to get a Black woman to come in here and fix this right up, And so everybody is kind of laying their hopes, on Judge Ketanji. And look, it's not going to help to have one Black woman in the Supreme Court. Like, there's just too much other stuff going on right now with that body of humans that she's not going to be able to come in and save the day. And then people are going to blame it on her. And you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it that's what happens every time I mean, I've even like literally seen a diagram of how like they bring the person of color into the organization to fix it, and they know it's a shit show. And then when, she can't fix it and starts to, call people on their stuff. And I'm not even sure that that's, Ketanji's MO, but I'm just saying that's the age old story of like, oh, come in here and fix us. And then it still goes bad or still goes the way the whole rest of the organization is going. And then, she gets booted or get blamed. And I feel like that's what we're, that's what we're in for moving forward. I do think it's probably going to get worse. I'm not the most optimistic person in the world, but it's, it's a real possibility that marriage equality is on the line, that it's going to get worse for trans people, trans kids. I think it's very possible it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
and
it used to be we'd talk about hyper. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, fine. You're fine. Go.
I would say it used to be that you'd say things like that, and folks would be like, "Oh, it's just fear mongering, like we're hyperbole." And now it's like, no, like we are headed back towards things that we really did think were done, like at a certain core level, and clearly we're not. So, like, what is the extent of how bad it could be, which is really scary.
Right, and
so,
it gets even scarier when you think that like all these like dystopian dramas are far too close to what is actually happening. When you look at like Handmaid's Tale and you see all the things that are going on and recognize that like it is actually beyond our imagination how much worse things can get, because even the things that others have imagined and dramatized are even too close for comfort. It's like when Shonda Rhimes stopped doing Scandal because like things were lining up too closely. And it was like, no, this is no longer entertainment because this is reality. Right. And it's like when you want to come up with the words, like when you're like, they're getting worse for trans people, I want to say worser. Like that needs to be a new word. It needs to be worse, right? Because it's not that great to begin with. And now, you finally got some ground, and you got people to understand and even come into their own identities just to get completely smacked down. And that's what's scary too, is that we've created these, brave spaces and quote unquote safe spaces. And for what? Because it's going to be really, really unsafe.
Yeah. I mean, and I remember, well, I was just going to say one more quick thing is, when I was a very conservative evangelical, it was pretty safe to be anti-abortion because I just literally never thought abortion would get overturned federally. I just thought it was so outside of the possibility that I could safely be, I mean, this was more in the back of my head then, but I realize now that it was just a safe thing for me to say because I never thought I'd have to actually deal with what it would require of me to actually live in that world. And now I'm like, oh, it's a reality. And I think a lot of people that would say they're anti-abortion just because that was the Christian thing to do didn't really thought it was something you could say because it was never going to happen. So now we're living in that world where it's, it's a reality. In my state, we do have a 6-week ban. So that, it's a reality that right now in my state, in Tennessee, it is essentially impossible to get an abortion.
Yeah. It's at some point, I'd love to dive deeper into that story, your background story, Micky. I would be really interested to hear it because it's such a space that I don't know a lot about. I mean, I grew up in a very generic, mainline, pretty good kind of experience, but would love to do that on another show. Let's move on to the next topic. All right, so let's be a little bit. When I did the minisode with Laura and Jorge, they were all bummer topics, so I'm not going to do that to you all. Serena Williams.
Goddess.
There's your next one.
Goddess. Amazing goddess.
I mean, what do you say?
I don't even like tennis. But I watched stuff.
Yeah. I don't
But I'm
care about
like,
tennis. I don't care at all about tennis. Who cares? But I care about Serena.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched Serena and Venus like over the years just because I wanted to watch them, and it's such a different game watching them play. Like, no wonder they're amazing. And then I was watching a bunch of folks put all stats, and you try the like winless game of trying to compare different athletes across different sports, but just the dominance of Serena versus other sports and other people in other sports is amazing. So yeah. Any other words of anything about Serena?
I just think that there's so many things to be said for someone who goes out on their own terms, who can do what they want when they want to do it, and to do it as a parent, right? Like there's something about and doing all this stuff that is still amazing, but to do it as a parent and then choose to do all these amazing things and then say, I'm done, right? Whatever that means. I'm done for this. This is fine. And I'm going to do it with flair and look hella hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, and let's, not just a parent, but a female professional athlete to be a parent, right? I look at soccer players who go out and have kids and then come back and play professional soccer at a certain level. Knowing what this does to your body and all those kind of things, it's doubly, triply amazing to just know that somebody has stayed at this high level. Like, it's not rec tennis and still kicking ass.
Right.
It's just like, yes, awesome. All right, next one. This is kind of summery, but it just started. So I'm going to give it summer. The Little Mermaid.
Have you all heard the NPR?
Have you all been keeping?
Yeah, the NPR montage that they had on NPR about having they recorded kids reacting to seeing it, BIPOC kids reacting to seeing the whole reveal. Oh my gosh, I'm in the car bawling. Just bawling because the last one is a boy saying, she looks just like me. I'm like, oh. It's amazing. Amazing. And about damn time.
I know. It's so sweet. I have pretty much no room for the haters. I literally haven't seen any of that or gotten into any discourse with people around it because I just don't care. I die mad. I don't care. Yeah. She's beautiful. Anything the Bailey sisters do. Haley is adorable. I always just have to remind myself they are not twins. They are literally different ages. Because my brain is like, they're twins. They're not.
I know.
And it's so weird. But Chloe, all of Chloe's music, listen, I will shake my ass all day to Chloe's music, and Hallie in this character is just you're not your characters, but she's such a sweet little human, and so she's perfect for this syrupy sweet role. And make believe has no rules, so it's just literally not an argument. And I love it for her. I love it for all of the little girls. I just got on TikTok. That was another summer thing. And so I was watching all those, little people on TikTok be amazed. And I just wept and wept because I have had that experience as a little Black girl who I would go to the store and the dolls didn't look like me. And of course the movie characters didn't look like me. And when A Wrinkle in Time came out, I cried because I'd never seen a movie and I'm a full grown adult. When they released Tiana, I was so happy for my children and so happy to go to Disney World with them and be like, this is the Black Princess. And they're just like, okay, Mom.
Whatever.
And I'm like, it's the best day of your lives. This is the Black Princess. And they're just like, can we go ride Buzz Lightyear now? They don't care about me and my feelings. And I am weeping and standing in line for Tiana. So this, for me, I am kind of a Disney freak. And I love all of this stuff. So I'm super happy for her and for all the little people that, will have a little Black mermaid. And I think it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think one of the things you just said, Mickey, I think is important. Like, I actually didn't have anybody show in my news feeds anywhere complaining about it. I mean, I've cleared all those people out. Like, I know that it is happening in other spaces,
Right.
but I'm like, I love die mad. I'm gonna go with that. Yeah. I don't know if you saw the funniest one out there. Somebody tweeted out they thought it was Halle Berry, and they said something about Halle Berry, a 6-year-old, is going to be playing this, and people are like, "Oh, you were getting dragged," and how quickly that gets deleted. But people screenshot that.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, I was like, oh, well, and then I saw it. That's the first thing I saw pop up. I'm like, I'm sure it's not Halle Berry, and I'm like, and then I'm looking back, going, oh my goodness! Like, are they doing a sequel, like Little Mermaid grows up? I don't know. It just, yeah. Then Halle Berry can play. She can do anything she wants, but that was a little.
There is a limit.
I think the only thing about Little Mermaid is I don't like the story.
Yeah, I mean,
like the idea
the
that
Disney version is better than the Disney version, though, is softer.
Yes.
I guess maybe not better than the original because all children's stories are
Sure.
terrifying. We
Terrible.
have a much different version now.
Right.
And too, like a lot of the lore around mermaids and sirens, like they will eat your face. This is not cute.
Yeah,
so it's just funny to
exactly.
me that anyone's arguing about any of this. I'm like, y'all spend like 10 minutes learning about historical children's literature, and you'll just be like, I'm going to go have nightmares now. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
We
exactly. Well, the same thing is happening with some other shows.
Do we know if Princess is white? Because if she has to sing part of your world to a white man, I'm going to maybe lose it a little bit.
I didn't think. You know what? Don't put a Filipino.
Asian. Probably.
I think he might be brown of some sort.
I mean, he needs.
Yeah. It's like Cinderella. It was Cinderella. Pablo Montalban got to play the prince because that. We're the Filipinos are the safe brown people.
They're the ambiguous brown
in a lot of areas.
Man.
Yeah. Well, my kids did some modeling and acting and things, and their actual box was ethnically ambiguous. It's an actual term, so that they got sent to everything because they could play like, you can go Latin, you can be Asian, you can be Japanese, you can be, got them jobs. So for real, we'll work off the white guilt a little bit. Yeah. All right, last one. Letting go of the kiddos. So I will start with my story, and we all know how Mickey does. So mine was, our oldest, we dropped Ev off at school and Ev went away and we had to fly and come back, and we get back on the plane, and at that point, both Rob and I are just in tears, and people probably thought somebody died. Like that was like just puffy face, the whole thing. And then for about a month afterwards, Ev and I would have this tradition as Ev was getting ready to go to school. We watched NCIS for some ungodly reason, but we started watching the whole series. And we would have salami, cream cheese, and little peppers, and have little appetizers while we watched TV. And I would, after Ev was left, I would open up the refrigerator and start to weep when I saw the salami and cream cheese and peppers. And Rob is like, "You are ridiculous." I'm like, "I know, but I mean, it just." And even with our second one, when we dropped Abby off, I was a wreck. Annie was the one, though, that was like, we got there, we were there for a couple of hours, moved her in, we're sitting by the cafeteria, and she says, "Okay, you can go now." Like, exactly. Which, wow. Amy Kim knows Annie. This is not a surprise. No. Yeah, so we had to weep on our own in the car with, our one little bit of a hug with this kid, and then just go grieve on our own. So, so those are we like our kids, we like hanging out with them, and then to know that they're kind of moving on was hard for us. But our youngest was more like you, Micky. They're like, all right, I'm now moving on, and peace. So there you go. And who knows when they're going to come or if they're going to come back. So how has Justin been, Amy Kim?
You know, Justin did this thing where he kept saying, like, I would share all my feelings with people when they'd be like, how are you doing? And I was like, it's tough. I had a breakdown in Whole Foods because I didn't know what to buy because I wasn't buying vegetarian and vegan stuff for my son. I mean, stupid, right? Totally stupid that I'm breaking down in freaking Whole Foods. But I would tell people these things and Justin would say, I'm just really excited for him. And I would just flip him off. Like, I am excited for him, but I also have feelings about him being gone. Like, so I used to I'd be like, are you missing him at all? Are you like, what is going on? Because, and I think he really was just like, if I just say that, I'll be fine. You know, like, I'm going to just do the white thing of like, I'm just going to say the things and be fine and give people an answer they are going to be okay with. And I don't have to unpack it anymore because clearly my wife has unpacked it for everybody. But the other thing is we had one move out and one move in almost simultaneously because Natalie was gone all summer. She's moving back to North Carolina to do a doula training and is going to be here. And so she moved in and she says things like, yeah, we're going to be more like roommates. And I have to remind her things like roommates don't come into their roommates' bedrooms when they're with their partner and say like, hey, can I come watch TV with you? Like, that's not a thing. So, I mean, I know it's cute. You want to be like and whatever, but like, you're totally chilling with us, which is great. We're so happy about it. But yeah, so we're kind of doing this switcheroo and our children are very, very different from one another. And so it is a little like switching gears. But yeah, Justin is sad, but in the way Justin is sad, and I am very consistently me. And Isaiah I don't know that there's been a day yet that he hasn't called. And I'm going to ride that wave until it stops, because I know it will stop, and that's okay, but I'm going to hold on to that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robin makes the kids send her a Snapchat every day. Just one. Doesn't have to wear there. So it's always half of Abby's head and Annie just is into the sky or something. But every day she gets a snap from, that's all I ask. Just
proof of life.
Send me a Snapchat about what's happening in your world. Proof of life. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Micky, how about yours?
I'm so fascinated by what you all are saying. I'm like, I don't know if this is family of origin stuff that I need to do some more somatic and therapy work around. I don't know. I mean, there always is generational stuff, right? Like,
sure.
It's like, you now can look back at the way you were parented and like, okay, how has that, made me who I am and made me the parent I am. And, sometimes you're reactionary towards that. Sometimes you do exactly what your parents did. And I think I'm a pretty good mix of both. Like, I definitely am more affectionate and more of an I love you mom than my mom was. But like 18 years is a lot of work, y'all. It's such a long time. So when it's time for you to leave, I want you to leave. I don't have that, like, my little baby's growing up. That's literally what they're supposed to do. It's literally the life cycle, y'all. Like, the bird cannot stay in the nest forever. They have to go build their own nest. Only so many adult birds will fit in the damn nest. And I say that, and I'm the one crying at every recital, at every graduation. Right. Like, I have emotions. I will cry at them. I'm very proud. I'm proud of them. I love them. I do. I love my children. Like, my daughter called me last week and was like, or texted me, because, children calling is a whole thing. But she texted me and was like, "Hey, Mom, do you want to go to brunch?" And I was like, "Oh, you want to hang out with me?" Like anytime my kids want to hang out with me, I'm of course immediate yes. I will clear the schedule. Yes. You know, whatever it takes for us to be together. Also, I think because I had an unexpected turn, my middle one. So my daughter is 22. She's out of the house, has graduated college, but decided to go to coding school. And so she decided to move in with her dad. We live 10 minutes apart. So she's now living with her dad and her boyfriend lives there. So they've got a house full. And right now only the youngest one comes back and forth. He's the only one under 18. So he goes back and forth. But the middle one graduated from high school and decided to do a gap year. And honestly, the pandemic was super hard on him. Emotionally, we went through a whole lot of stuff. His grades I wasn't sure at one point if he was going to graduate. And he has always been a high achiever academically. And so it became a thing of, you know, if it's your life or going to college, I don't care about college at all. I want you on this planet, you know? So, you know, so he's taking a gap year. And so it's been navigating that, what it's like for him to, go back and forth still some, but at a lesser schedule than before with me and his dad since he's 19 and graduated. Navigating that. So having two adult kids that I'm trying to navigate who are close in proximity, but like, what does that look like when you don't live in the same household all the time? He just came and stayed with me for like a week and a half. I had no idea when he was coming over, and I didn't know when he was going to leave. And I'm like, oh, is this what we're... Great. I don't know how any of this works, you know, and like going to see him in his new job, trying to navigate that. But, you know, he's got a passport. We're trying to get him overseas to hang out with some friends of mine and figuring out what the hell a gap year is. And then how we're going to navigate the next step. So it's just, I literally adore my children, and I'm very much like, I put in the mom years as a young mom. I was married when I was 19, had the first one at 23, and mama is ready to live her life, honey. I am like, I need to travel. I might get a tiny house. I might have, you know, live in another country 3 months. You don't know where mama's going to be. So you better keep up and come travel with me. So that's my,
I can see one of your kids.
I'm trying to taste it.
I can see one of your kids like, Mom, all we're asking for is proof of life. Could you just send us a snap every day that you're like, can you please let us know that you're okay? I could totally see this happening.
Right.
Yeah. Or it may be us. It may be us asking you to send us. Yeah, Mickey, can you please send Amy, Kim, and I just one snap a day? That's all we need.
So true. It's so true. No, listen. There's a couple things. One, my children, as long as I'm paying for their cell phone bill, they need to keep that location on. So I know where they are, want to know where they are. Okay. So Mickey, you decide to go do your little rogue off the grid stuff. Give me your location. We'll be fine. As long as I know where to find you, roll up if a white man comes and tries to sit next to you at a festival. Anyway, There's that. The other thing is that I think it is like so much their personalities. Part of, I think, the like sadness over Isaiah is I do know this about him. He's not coming back. Like he will to visit. He will not live with us again. Like even as he packed, he was like, the only thing I wasn't able to pack was my base. Everything else, it doesn't matter. Like those kinds of things were like, oh, this is like, you are going to do your thing. And I totally know that that's true. But there is that like, Lily, if she could be reborn, as in like come right back up the womb and like be I'm just, thank you. You're welcome for the visual. But I'm just saying, like, she's the kind of independent that she's either like, leave me alone, or I would like to be breastfed again. Like there's that's her polar opposite. So it just is, it's just what it is. And that kid is going to go and do his thing and will totally honor us and see us, but he's going to be doing his thing. Yeah. Blessed.
I can't keep the phrase "come back right up the womb." That is now going to stick with me all day. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Listen.
For the visual as well, Mickey, that you all don't get to see. But yeah, there you go.
Actually, but the thing is, Bruce, is you can't even come close to the feeling. Where I know Mickey, I can say that.
I realize this.
There's a whole situation. So I'm glad that you can appreciate that. I'm accepting that in the loving Jesus-like way that you said that. And I'm glad that I could inspire in that manner today.
And if my videos editing skills were better, I would include the visuals from this conversation, because that just would make it all the better. All right, last question for you all. What's one new thing that's come into your life over the past summer or whenever? Just something that is bringing you some joy, feeding your soul. What's something new? And it doesn't even have to be meaningful. So I'll share mine. In the last minisode, I shared that my kids have got me into F1 racing, which I don't know how this has happened, but yes, both of my justice-loving children know all about F1 racing now, the sport of, talk about elite. But yeah, anyway, so we now watch F1 on TV. Annie, our youngest, as kind of like what you said, Mickey, was, do you want to do something with me? I'm like, yes, we'll do it. I'll pay, whatever. Like, I'm going to watch F1 now. I'm like, okay, let's watch. So I'm watching all that. So that was mine.
Do you notice these two people saying in all of our faces, what in the hell is F1 racing? Because
I mean,
F1 really?
Is it NASCAR? That's what I know down here.
No, you can talk to my kids and they'd be like, it is not NASCAR. It's Formula One racing. And it is the ones that, it's like Le Mans, it's like the street racing, it's the elite of the elite. You want to get to F1, it's a new Netflix show. That's what's done it. It's this new reality show on Netflix that everybody has been watching. And don't start watching it, because they do like all these reality shows, their whole thing is to get you hooked into this new culture. So F1 racing, I can't remember if it's called like Speed. I don't remember this, but yeah, now.
I mean, is it like Lamborghini?
It's on my Google Calendar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like so McLaren, Mercedes, they're all the main. It's quite and the drivers are personalities and the whole thing. So yeah, there's mine. I'm not proud, but it is just what has happened. Amy Kim, something new that you've discovered new in your life.
You are more bougie than I ever thought, Bruce, and you were pretty bougie. I
have not gone to one yet.
Yet is the word.
So.
Yet is the word, because now it's like, we're going to have a daughter reunion at the F1 racing, and we're going to pick out outfits, and then I'm going to have my news feed full of F1, and maybe they'll sponsor this podcast at some point. It'll be amazing.
Ooh, hey, I can be bought.
We know.
Yeah. Would have no problem.
There
no problem.
Been a lot of new, excepting that Justin and I joined a gym that it's not Orange Theory, so breathe, Bruce, you and your Orange Theory. I'm a disciple. But it is, you do exercises in an infrared sauna. And I thought I was going to loathe it, because I'm like, ain't nobody need to be hot or sweat anymore. Like that is, but I understand like part of the whole workout situation, which is probably why I don't like it, is sweating. And, but you go in this infrared sauna and there's very spunky people teaching you on TVs. And there's anything from like yoga to there's rowing and cycling and elliptical and all these things. But it's amazing because you can go at any time because you have a code and you just schedule it and go into these rooms, and up to 3 people can be in there. You know, my butt's not going in there with anyone except my husband or my daughter. Like, I'm not going to else. If somebody shows up, I'll be like, deuces, wrong room, and I'll be out. But it's been good for like the toxicity of stuff. Like I've been doing more about like what it means to like release all of that. And I think both physically and mentally, it's been really good because I don't know if you all are aware, there's just a lot of toxic shit happening in the world, and recognize that I need to like actively, like in my brain and in my heart, do some releasing of that. And so that has also been a physical way for me to like connect those things. I don't know that I could say I like it yet, but it's not horrible. So, but
sometimes
again, just trying to be more kind to this creation that I've been given and doing the things that make sense. And my spouse and I can do those things together or not, which is good. And sometimes watching his sweet, non-flexible body cramp up is a little funny. Until it's not.
Wow.
But it is. How about you, Mickey? What's new?
There are a lot. I was going to say there are a lot of things about this. If we had longer time, that I would love to tease you about, but I'm not going to at this particular moment.
Okay, well, I'll wait for your phone call 5 minutes after this is over, so that you can carry on. Also, we're going to be together in a week, so that too. We
are, so we can, yeah.
And Mickey,
all right, Mickey, what's up new in your world?
Mickey, we're going to be in your town.
I know.
Anyway, okay.
I know. I have to figure out. I'm gonna send a note because Laura's there too. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. This is the Nashville trip.
Everybody but Jorge could be there.
Okay.
Well, if Jorge was really dedicated to it,
I'll start a text thing with the four of us at least, so we could try to figure out a time to get together. Mickey, have you met Laura in person?
Oh yeah, we hung out.
Have you met?
I don't know, like a couple weeks ago for their anniversary.
Oh, good. Oh, okay. Great. Oh, awesome. All right, what's new for you, Mickey? What anything new?
What is new for me? I'm glad you said that, Amy Kim, about the gym, because it made me, and about sweating, because it made me remember to book a float for this afternoon. I'm going to go float. That's one of the things I do for my body. But what is new for me is that I just finished, which I'm actually sad about. I tried to make it last, but A League of Their Own, the new version, episodic version on Amazon Prime. It's so good. It's so gay. It's so black. Like I feel like it's at least I'm not a historian. I just have a lot of history books, but it felt like it was pretty historically accurate as far as like there is a white storyline and a black storyline essentially, and some Hispanic people in the white storyline, but they, it's because they're also pretty light skinned. But they don't make it this kumbaya, like everybody gets along in ways or has, interacts in ways that weren't true to the time. But it includes the fact that there were like queer people, black queer people, even in the 40s, like we didn't just spring up in 1992. And like, it's just, and the characters, especially for me, the non-white characters the black characters are written with so much complexity and so much depth that I was like, oh, okay. Like we're not, doing a bunch of tropes here.
Right.
It was just really well done. And I cried. I laughed out loud. I mean, lots of laughter, lots of crying. And it not trauma porny at all, which sometimes period pieces can be like that. And I really loved it. I really hope they do another season. I have a crush on one of the actors. I just adore it so much. So I would recommend it to everybody. I think it's a really well done, sweet story.
It is beautiful. It's really
awesome.
Beautiful.
We haven't started it yet, but it's definitely on our after. We're just going through The Good Place again, watching the whole thing, and that's been we were switching around from what were we watching, and we had to be like, okay, we need something other. We were watching some medical drama. Oh, Transplant! If you've not watched that medical drama Transplant, so good, but you got to cleanse it with like Good Place.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we did last night. Anyway, all right. Thank you all for joining us, folks. I'm glad you have taken a listen to the minisode, caught up with us again. There's lots of stuff coming up. Make sure you listen to the other minisode with Jorge and Laura. And in October, there's going to be a lot of Filipino in your ears: filmmakers, activists, actors, academics, and at least one drag queen. So, and I think all the co-hosts are going to have to fight over who gets to be on these, because remember, it's just two per. But there's some really cool people. I have some lined up, soon to be announced. Please consider becoming a patron on Patreon to support production costs, keep me out of trouble with my spouse, all la la la, help us feed the dogs. Please, and before you swipe left away from the pod.
Sorry, pay for my next ticket to the A1 racing or whatever junkety junk you're doing.
To A1 racing.
One A1, one
to
to
the steak sauce A1 racing. Exactly. Sorry. Before you swipe left away from this, do all the podcast things. Subscribe, rate, review. Thanks for being with BRC and Friends today. And we will see you soon. BRC and Friends was hosted and produced by Bruce Reyes-Chow. Co-hosts were Jorge Bautista, Micky ScotBey Jones, Amy Kim Kyremes Parks, and Laura Monaco Heifetz, and the theme music was composed and recorded by Marissa Magdal Laurent. Please head over to Patreon and toss us a few bucks, and feel free to connect with any of us via the show notes. And lastly, please don't make me beg. Take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to BRC and Friends wherever you listen to podcasts. Until the next episode, thanks for listening to BRC and Friends.